Good Friday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversation Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Well, we made it to the end of another week. We, of course, have your news headlines coming up on this Friday. We have a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. And in today's Entertainment Spotlight, you've been part of my conversation with author and motivational speaker, Dr. Teresa A. Smith, here on IG. You guys know her as Dr. Taz. You don't want to miss that. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Friday headlines. In national news, Supreme Court expands gun rights with nation divided. In a major expansion of gun rights after a series of mass shootings, the Supreme Court said Thursday that Americans have a right to carry firearms in public for self-defense, a ruling likely to lead to more people legally armed. The decision came out as Congress and states debate gun control legislation. About 1/4 of the U.S. population lives in states expected to be affected by the ruling, which struck down a New York gun law. The High Court's first major gun decision in more than a decade split the court 6-3, with the court's conservative in the majority and liberals in dissent. Across the street from the court, lawmakers at the Capitol sped toward passage of gun legislation, prompted by recent massacres in Texas, New York, and California. Senators cleared the way for the measure, modest in scope, but still the most far-reaching in decades. Also Thursday, underscoring the nation's deep divisions over the issue, the sister of a 9-year-old girl killed in the school shooting in Uvalde, Texas, pleaded with state lawmakers to pass gun legislation. The Republican-controlled legislature has stripped away gun restrictions over the past decade. President Joe Biden said in a statement he was deeply disappointed by the Supreme Court ruling. It contradicts both common sense and the Constitution and should deeply trouble us all, he said. He urged states to pass new laws. I call on Americans across the country to make their voices heard on gun safety. Lives are on the line, he said. The decision struck down a New York law requiring people to demonstrate a particular need for carrying a gun in order to get a license to carry a gun in a concealed way in public. The justices said the requirement violates the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. Justice Clarence Thomas wrote the majority that the Constitution protects an individual's right to carry a handgun for self-defense outside the home. That right is not a second-class right, Thomas wrote. We know of no other constitutional right that an individual may exercise only after demonstrating to government officers some special need. California, Hawaii, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and Rhode Island all have laws similar to New York's. Those laws are expected to be quickly challenged. The court's decision is somewhat out of step with public opinion. About half of the voters in the 2020 presidential election said gun laws in the U.S. should be made more strict, according to AP Votecast, an expansive survey of the electorate. An additional 1/3 said laws should be kept as they are, while about 1 in 10 said gun laws should be less strict. In more national news, hearing says Trump told Justice Department to call election corrupt. Donald Trump hounded the Justice Department to pursue his false election fraud claims, striving in vain to enlist top law enforcement officials in his desperate bid to stay in power, and relenting only when warned in the Oval Office of mass resignations, according to testimony Thursday to the House panel investigating the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot. 3 Trump-era Justice Department officials recounted persistent badgering from the president, including day after day of directives to chase baseless allegations that the election won by Democrat Joe Biden had been stolen. They said they swept aside each demand from Trump because there was no evidence of widespread fraud, then banded together when the president weighed whether to replace the department's top lawyer with a lower-level official willing to help undo the results. The hearing, the 5th this month, by the panel probing the assault on the Capitol, made clear that Trump's sweeping pressure campaign targeted not only statewide election officials, but also his own executive branch agencies. The witnesses solemnly described the constant contact from the president as an extraordinary breach of protocol, especially since the Justice Department has long cherished its independence from the White House and steered clear of partisan politics and investigative decisions. In more national news, COVID vaccine saved 20 million lives in first year, scientists said on Thursday. Nearly 20 million lives were saved by COVID-19 vaccines during their first year, but even more deaths could have been prevented if international targets for the shots had been reached, researchers reported on Thursday. On December 8, 2020, a retired shop clerk in England received the first shot in what would become a global vaccination campaign. Over the next 12 months, more than 4.3 billion people around the world lined up for the vaccine. In entertainment news, Daytime Emmys returned to live in-person show Young and the Restless tops the nominations. After 2 years of real-life drama and isolation due to the coronavirus pandemic, the stars and shows of daytime television are gathering in person to hand out trophies at the Daytime Emmys. And finally, in business news, Asian stocks mix after Wall Street declines on growth worries. Asian stock markets were mixed Thursday after Wall Street edged lower amid fears higher interest rates will chill global economic growth. Shanghai and Hong Kong advanced while Tokyo and Seoul declined. Oil prices fell more than $2 per barrel to near $100. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. Enjoy. Good Friday, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Words I Choose to Live By. On your mark, get set, go. One of the biggest mistakes you could make today is to put a deadline on your dreams. No matter where you live or how long it takes, the important thing is to remain focused and prayerful as you go from day to day. Never giving up. Have an amazing Friday. Dr. Teresa A. Smith is featured in today's Entertainment Spotlight. We're here on Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with Entertainment Spotlight. Author and motivational speaker Dr. Teresa A. Smith and Dr. Taz rejoin me on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about the year that's been 2022 and what's to come. Here's a bit of our conversation. What has it been like for you to look at your own transformation just this year, Taz?
You know, Cyrus, thank you for the question, and thank you so much for working with me during the book series. It has been a whirlwind. You know, over the last week or two, I've been really reflecting on just where I was at the beginning of 2022 and where I am now. And, you know, we're 6 months in, and so much has happened. You know, last year this time we were preparing to publish the book, and then we started our series. And you knew, of course, that I had a show that I'd been working on, but then to come full circle a year later and see that the show is actually out there. I'm getting good feedback on the show. I'm cooking live on Instagram, which is just mind-boggling for me. So it's really been a good year, and it's been a fast year.
It really has been a fast year. I mean, we both have had a lot going on, and it's a little scary to me how fast it's going. Do you find yourself having those moments, too, where you look at where we are in the year, but also thinking, where did it go? You know, what's been going on?
Well, you know, Cyrus, you know, as you said, full disclosure, I can't say other people, but I know for me, you're so focused on doing the work that I have to remind myself to stop and smell the roses. And when I think back, it's like, well, where did it go? And how did you even get to this place? Because as you and I often talk about putting the work in, you'll see the fruits of your labor. But it's like a blur, and it's like I didn't see it. But then you find yourself at that spot, and then it's like, okay, now how do I adjust again? Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning into this edition of Conversations Daily News. We'll be back to you guys on Monday with more news, a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Let's make today amazing. Take care.